Guys, so this is a video response to Zanoni Revived. Did an excellent vid on basically game changers, games that changed your perception of what games could be, the direction that they were going in. I guess just games that like properly made you think, wow, you know, that's like, you know, different, not seen this before, you know. And I watched Svalbard's response this morning as well, which kind of gave me a bit of a kick up the backside to get this one done. I've just been mega busy with the kids, work, and the Master System Challenge and stuff. So yeah, but I did want to get this one done. So yeah, but both vids were brilliant. I think both Zanoni and Svalbard both kind of mentioned that there were mentions of both Half-Life. Both mentioned Half-Life, which for me, I think when I got my first job, I really wanted to have a PC built for myself. I just wanted a PC. I grew up in quite a small sort of rural village, but there was a computer shop that I basically asked the guy to build me a PC. Cost me a fortune, cost me like, I don't know, probably 1,500 quid, something daft like that. This was like back in 2000, 2001, something like that. And one of the first games that I had with it was Half-Life. And I think it was probably more the fact that it was a first-person shooter, but it was in 60 frames per second. And it just looked phenomenal, and it was a real game changer for me. Unfortunately, I've got some other games to show you, but unfortunately, I don't have my copy of Half-Life anymore, so I can't hold that one up. The only thing that kind of came close to that was like the first big multiplayer game that I had played probably 2 or 3 years before, and I played it a ton, and that was GoldenEye. So GoldenEye, when I was at uni, you know, 2 or 3 people had this new console, you know, the N64, and this was kind of the go-to game. We would miss lectures if we were out on the piss. We'd you know, you'd come back in from the nightclub or whatever, or the pub, and you'd put this on in halls. You'd have like several people, like probably, I don't know, you might even a dozen, crazy amounts of people watching others play that or waiting for their turn to give this a go. It was just phenomenal. And it gave you real agency to go anywhere in the maps, multiplayer. There were lots of different ways you could play as well. Lots of different characters that we really enjoyed unlocking. And it was just a really good laugh. We'd not seen anything like it before. Phenomenal game. So I should probably try and put these in order, because I'm just working backwards at the minute, aren't I? On the Master System, I didn't have many games growing up. I had the Master System. It was like, I mean, you know, if you've watched any of my vids, you'll be aware, I am partial to a Master System game. But Psychic World was so different to any other games that I had played in the past. Most games were, you know, button 1, button 2, and to have a way of using special abilities in this game just blew my mind. You're accessing them because I think it was ported from the MSX, so the Master System controller probably wasn't made with this in mind. It definitely wasn't. So to access them, hold down and press the button to get your special abilities or whatever. You know, really outside the box thinking, I think. So I'm losing my voice a bit. I got a bit excited yesterday with the rugby and shouted at the telly a bit, as you do. Anyway, yeah, Master System, Psychic World, just phenomenal game. If you've not tried it, then do give it a go. It holds up today pretty well, I think. Anyway, I'll try to order these a little bit better now. So when I met my missus, dance mats and dance games were her thing, and I probably wouldn't have bothered. Probably not my thing, love. I probably wouldn't have bothered though if they weren't big when I sort of, you know, met her. And I it's just a really good laugh, wasn't it? You know, dancing on dance mats on the PS1 and the PS2. So these are hers. I've borrowed them from her little collection. But they were, if you think about it, for me anyway, they're real game changers, being able to actually dance at home, because otherwise you were just doing it at the arcade on the, you know, if you found one of the machines, you know. And I thought they were really cool. By the time we got our first house, I had my PS2 by then, and the main one on PS2 that just kind of blew my mind really with just what you could do was San Andreas, or GTA San Andreas, and you could just do anything, go anywhere. Story was cool. I remember one of the missions, you could get a combine harvester, and you could just drive anywhere with it, and I did. You know, it was just, the soundtrack was awesome. I could listen to the music now, you know, it was brilliant. I don't know if there's an official soundtrack. If there is, I might go and look that up. But yeah, just a really great game. You could do anything on it. And yeah, you know, you just opened my mind, I suppose, as to what was possible in an open world game. I think, you know, I think the next really big wow moment, because I'd moved up north by then, but when I went back home, well, I say back home, it's funny, isn't it? You say go back home and you don't live there anymore. When I went back down south to go and see my family, my brother had moved into a flat by then, my younger brother, and he was playing this game called Oblivion. And unbeknownst to me, my missus had actually played the one before it as well, Morrowind. So we went back and played Morrowind afterwards. But when I saw this game, when I went around his gaff and had a look, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. You could go anywhere, do anything, and it just took the open world RPG to the next level. And it absolutely blew my mind. As soon as I got you know, home to where we were living, it was like the first thing I went out and bought. And my God, I played this a ton. And it's not that I didn't play Skyrim a lot. I played Skyrim a lot. But this was absolutely game changing for me. You could take on quests, side quests. You could build your character up. It was like the first proper RPG that I'd properly gone on. So yeah, it was just absolutely phenomenal for me. And then that's kind of it really in terms of game changers. But wait, there's another one. There's a more recent one. And no one's mentioned it. And for me personally, I think right here, right now, a lot of people might think, oh, it's just kind of normal, whatever. But I think people will look back and think, wow, that was a real game changer. All the games are doing it now. But at the time, it was kind of different. And that's Death Stranding. And I think for me, it was a real game changer. It was something completely different. It's an open world, horror, action, weird, Kojima type title. Excuse the dog. What are you doing? But there's this online social media collaborative element to the game where you can build roads, share items with other players without it being a multiplayer game. It's weird. Just gonna have a slurp of my tea. So yeah, I think Death Stranding, to typical Kojima, thinking outside the box. And I think with this one, he was kind of given carte blanche to do what he likes. So say what you like about the game. It's not for everybody. I get that. Personally, I enjoyed it. But that element of this online, communal, collaborative, playing with other players, you go out of the game, you know, we've all got jobs, whatever, you might come back a day or two later and other stuff's happened in the game, like, oh, that bit of road's been finished, or something's been dropped off in a letterbox that you can use to help complete your mission by another player. Just brilliant. Really, really enjoyed it, you know. So each to their own, but I think people will look back on that and think, yeah, that was the first one that did it. Anyway, that's it from me. Thanks very much for watching, if you're still with me. It's a shame I don't have a copy of Half-Life. I'll have to try and... I think I have a copy of Half-Life 2, maybe, on the PS2. The only other game that was kind of, I guess, that I've not mentioned, and I do have a copy. I've got a copy right here, really. I was in two minds whether to mention it, but The Witcher 3. Witcher 3 is just a phenomenal game. It's probably my favourite on PS4. That and Bloodborne. But yeah, just a phenomenal game. And it did loads with the RPG element. It just took RPG to the next level. The story is quite long. I liked the story being quite long. I never wanted it to finish, but you know, it's a good one. I'm not going to talk too much about it because, like I say, I really wanted to finish up on Death Stranding, really. But thanks ever so much for putting the vid out initially, Andy. I really enjoyed doing this one, and I've been meaning to do it a while. Apologies, it's taken so long to me getting around to it. It took Svalbaz and his video that I watched this morning to kind of remind me, but I'm glad I did. And yeah, hopefully we see a few more of these vids going out. I really enjoy doing them. Thanks ever so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you in the week.